Here's a little mini sermon for you. How do you know when you're looking through eyes of faith instead of fear? Number one, you know the truth and it sets you free. You crave the Word of God and you yearn to conform your life to it. And boy, some of you have experienced this, especially those of you who grew up in a non-Christian environment or spent a long time away from the Lord. The joy of slowly but surely conforming your life more and more to God's plans as you discover His Word, there's so much joy in that. Getting your life together by the grace of God is just such an incredible joy. And that happens with spiritual vision. Number two, we see unsaved people as those for whom Christ died. See, fear tells us that people out there who don't believe what we believe are a threat. But faith tells us they're God's lost children, and we should yearn for them, and we should ache for them. We should love them with His love. Number three, we see our trials as stepping stones to the true treasure of Christ-likeness. Now, it's easy for me to say that, and hard to do. And I'm not saying I'm ever going to get to the point where I rejoice in suffering the way James tells us to in the Scriptures. But I think we all should be able to have the spiritual vision to say, while I'm going through this time, I can at least rejoice in the fact that God is going to use this. I don't know how, but God is going to use this in some way to draw me closer to Himself. Number four, we see the attractions of this world as worthless in light of eternity. This world sells us a lot of stuff. Some of it material stuff and others non-material, but all of it, it says, okay, this is what you need in order to be happy. The world's a great salesman because it sells you its stuff and then it says, you just need this one next thing, and you totally forget that it said that last thing was that one next thing. Boy, if you just had this too, then you'll be perfectly happy. Okay, well, I'll buy that too. Come to think of it, there's this other thing. And don't wait, but we'll wait, there's more. And we buy it. And yet when we have spiritual vision, we're able to look at things and say, if that becomes mine, if that becomes part of my life, and it's not anything that's contradicted or prescribed in the Word of God, then okay. But if it doesn't, that's okay too, because I've got treasure in heaven. That's what I'm really looking forward to. We don't buy the world's pitch. And then 5, we see the needs of those who are hurting, and we see our own responsibility to help. True compassion is not a compassion that says, you need to do something about that. It's a compassion that says, I need to do something about that. And that's what happens when we have spiritual vision. Number 6, we see the blessings we've received instead of complaining about things we don't have. And that's a hard one, isn't it? Because it's so much easier to see the things we wish we had and denigrate the things we do. But contentment, true contentment, comes when we have the eyes of the Lord and we can truly enjoy the blessings we've been given. And then finally, we see the will of God and know what to do. And I can remember a time in my own spiritual life when I was really first growing as a Christian, as a young adult. And I thought, man, if I could just know the will of God all the time, then I'd always make the right decision. And then I realized, don't worry about knowing the will of God. Just get to know God. If you follow God, He'll make His will known to you. If you try to use Him you remember those magic 8 balls? That's the way I was trying to use God back then. If I could just get Him to tell me, yes, make this decision. No, don't make that. Then no, that's not, God won't operate that way. But if instead I just chase after Him, and then when He wants me to know what to do, He'll let me know. That spiritual vision gives us that wisdom that most decisions aren't as crippling as they were before, because we see through His eyes. Fear prevents all of that, but faith brings it.